everybody, and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make something which was requested just recently. Somebody suggested that I make a cheese flan of the type which we used to have, or apparently many people used to have, as part of their school dinners. I must confess I never had cheese flan as part of a school dinner, and I would definitely remember it because until recently I would never ever eat cheese which had been cooked, melted cheese. So I know I never had it, but I've checked with other people and they seem to remember it as well. And it was always a very basic recipe in a big rectangular catering pan, basically, that you would use in school, lined with pastry, with cheese put in, and then milk and egg, beaten egg, poured over the top with some salt and pepper, and it was cooked. I think in some places they may also have put a layer of onion as well. So very, very simple. And I'm going to start off by preheating my oven to 180 degrees Celsius. That's 160 degrees Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit. And I should say that I'm not going to do a rectangular one or even a square one. I'm going to do it in a flan tin, so it's a round one, a 9-inch flan tin, 23 centimetres, but you could use an 8 by 8 inch square pan if you wanted to. So for the ingredients, I have 200 grams of cheddar cheese which I have grated. That's 10 ounces. Then I have 2 medium eggs which I've beaten. That would be large in the USA. I have 150 millilitres of milk. Now, if you want it to be extra rich, you could use single cream instead of milk, or you could use evaporated milk. But in the days of school dinners, it would just have been milk, I'm sure. I have some salt and pepper, and that's to taste, basically, depending on how salty your cheese may already be. And then optionally, I have 1 onion which I have sliced very fine, and a tablespoon of butter to fry the onion off to soften it. That's 14 grams of butter. And again, optionally, I have a teaspoon of dried parsley. You don't need to use that at all. So really all you need is the cheese, the eggs, the milk, the salt and pepper, and 1 sheet of ready rolled short crust pastry. You can make your own short crust pastry if you want to, but because I had this in the fridge, or in the freezer should I say, I thought I would actually use that. So I'm going to start off. We need to blind bake the pastry. Again, I've seen some recipes where they don't blind bake it, but I like my pastry to be cooked on the bottom. So I'm going to start off by lining my tart tin with the pastry. And if the pastry cracks at all, it really doesn't matter. You can just patch it up. And with the pastry in the tart tin, I'm going to dock it with a fork, just prick it all over with a fork. And then I'm going to line it with parchment paper, and in this case I'm simply going to use the paper that it came in. I did have other paper, but I realised I can use this. And then I'm going to pour baking beans, ceramic baking beans, into that. Now you could use rice or dried beans instead of baking beans if you want to. And I'm going to put that into the oven, and I'm going to bake it for about 10 minutes. At that stage, I take it out of the oven and take the baking beans and the paper out and leave that to cool. And then while that's actually baking, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fry the onions in the butter. And as I said, this is optional, these onions. So I'm going to simply fry those on a low medium heat until they've softened completely. And you don't need to watch them fry basically. So once they've softened, I will take them out of the pan and allow them to cool down, and then I will come back and we will assemble our flan and we'll bake it. I blind baked the pastry, and I fried off my onions which have cooled down, so I'm going to put those into the pastry case. And I'm going to spread them over the base. Just like that. And then I'm going to sprinkle the cheese on the top. Just spread that out just a little bit. And next I'm actually going to mix the salt and pepper, and I'm not going to use all of that salt, I think there's too much there, into the egg. And I'm adding my optional herbs as well. And then my milk. And then I'm going to pour that over . Just like that. And I'm going to put that into the oven, and I'm going to bake it for about 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. I check it. I want it to begin to colour on the top, a sort of golden colour with maybe a couple of brown spots appearing, but I want it still to be a little bit wobbly if I was to shake the pan. And at that stage I'll take it out and put it to cool in the baking tray. And at that stage I take it out and put it onto a wire rack still in the tart tin and allow it to cool. And once it's cooled down, I'll come back and show you the results and we'll have a taste. I baked the cheese flan for 30 minutes and it browned nicely on the top and just slightly wobbly in the middle. So I took it out and allowed it to cool down. And this is what it looks like. I've actually cut it. Now you can serve this warm, obviously, if you're serving it as a dinner or something. But I've allowed mine to cool down completely. And it baked very nicely. So I'll have a taste of this piece. Very, very good. Very flavourful with the cheese. And those onions, which I said were optional, give a lovely sweetness to the entire thing. So it's a very simple recipe. And I hope it brings back memories for some people of meals that they had when they were at school with their school dinners. And that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.